The notion of an Ultimate Fighting Championship event being hosted at the White House, specifically orchestrated to frame a sensational comeback for Conor McGregor around the year 2026, is a concept that originates not from official sporting or political channels, but directly from the fighter's own prolific use of social media and public forums. This proposal exists in the realm of political and sporting spectacle, an audacious aspiration voiced by McGregor that seamlessly blends his characteristic grandiosity with a deliberate and specific political alignment. It represents a modern phenomenon where the personal brand of a celebrity athlete intersects with the machinery of political endorsement, creating a narrative that captures public attention far beyond the confines of the sports world. The very utterance of such an idea is a testament to McGregor's understanding of the media landscape and his unrivaled ability to generate headlines, ensuring his relevance remains high even during extended periods of competitive inactivity. The foundation for this seemingly far-fetched idea is rooted in the well-documented and long-standing friendship between former President Donald J. Trump and the UFC organization. This relationship is historical and strategic, dating back to a pivotal era in the early 2000s when mixed martial arts was a marginalized sport, struggling for legitimacy and banned from pay-per-view carriers and many mainstream venues. During this critical period, Donald Trump provided a vital lifeline by hosting UFC events at his Trump Taj Mahal and Trump Plaza casinos in Atlantic City. This support was not merely transactional. It was a public endorsement that lent the fledgling organization a degree of credibility and a stable platform when few others were willing to do so. This early alliance forged a powerful and lasting bond between Trump and the UFC's leadership, most notably with its president, Dana White, who has frequently and publicly acknowledged the debt of gratitude he feels towards Trump for his crucial support during the sport's most vulnerable years. Conor McGregor's personal relationship with Donald Trump developed in parallel to this institutional alliance. During the intense 2016 presidential campaign, McGregor, then at the zenith of his own fame, publicly praised Trump's business acumen and his mastery of showmanship, drawing parallels between Trump's disruptive political tactics and his own methods of promoting blockbuster fights. This mutual admiration solidified following Trump's election victory. The connection was visibly cemented in March 2019 when McGregor attended the president's annual Friends of Ireland reception at the White House, a St. Patrick's Day tradition. While this was not an official state visit or a meeting dedicated to discussing policy or sports, McGregor's presence at this high-profile gathering, where he was photographed with the president, served to powerfully reinforce his proximity to the center of political power and solidify his image within that influential sphere. The specific concept of headlining a UFC event on the White House lawn, however, emerged later, during a particularly challenging chapter in McGregor's career, marked by competitive inactivity, legal issues, and a severe athletic setback. The catalyst for this grandiose vision was the devastating leg fracture McGregor suffered in the final seconds of the first round of his July 2021 trilogy fight against Dustin Poirier. This injury not only resulted in a decisive loss, but also placed his entire fighting future in serious doubt, necessitating a long and uncertain rehabilitation process. It was from this position of vulnerability and forced absence from the octagon that McGregor began to articulate his most spectacular and long-term vision for a return, a narrative designed to overshadow the uncertainties of his recovery with the promise of an unprecedented comeback. The timeline for Conor McGregor's potential return to the UFC has been characterized by significant fluidity and repeated delays, creating a narrative of uncertainty that has itself become a central story. Initially, following the extensive surgery and rehabilitation required for his broken tibia and fibula, There was optimism within his camp for a high-profile return in late 2023. This timeline, however, quickly proved ambitious. The demands of his Hollywood acting debut in the Amazon MGM remake of Roadhouse represented a major commitment, pulling his focus away from the intensive full-time training camp necessary to prepare for a top-level UFC contest. This filming schedule, combined with the physical limitations of an ongoing recovery, pushed initial projections into 2024. A critical and often overlooked administrative hurdle further complicated his path back to the octagon. His status with the United States Anti-Doping Agency, USADA. As mandated by UFC policy, athletes coming out of retirement or a prolonged period of inactivity must be enrolled in the USADA testing pool for a minimum of 6 months before they are cleared to compete. McGregor's official re-entry into the testing pool was confirmed in the fourth quarter of 2023. This procedural requirement alone established a firm, non-negotiable barrier, mathematically pushing any potential fight date to at least mid-2024, regardless of his physical readiness or the UFC's booking desires. It was against this backdrop of shifting schedules and bureaucratic impediments that McGregor began to pivot his narrative, articulating a more long-term and spectacular vision that would reframe these delays as strategic planning. In various interviews and through his prolific social media activity, he started to publicly discuss the idea of a bespoke, McGregor-curated UFC event at the White House, explicitly conditional upon Donald Trump winning the November 2024 presidential election. This was a strategic narrative shift, transforming the story from one about a delayed comeback to one about an epoch-making event in the making. McGregor masterfully framed this not merely as another fight, but as the ultimate comeback stage, a historic spectacle that would transcend the sport of mixed martial arts altogether. He proposed a new timeline of 2025 or even 2026, a window that would ostensibly allow for a full and uninterrupted training camp, while also providing the necessary time for the hypothetical political circumstances to align following a potential Trump inauguration in January 2025. While this statement was undoubtedly headline-grabbing and succeeded in generating immense media buzz, it exists almost entirely within the realm of personal aspiration and promotional rhetoric rather than concrete, actionable planning. The logistical and security hurdles to holding a professional pay-per-view combat sports event on the South Lawn of the White House are immense, to the point of rendering the proposition practically implausible. The Secret Service would face unprecedented challenges in securing a perimeter for a large-scale public event, featuring a violent athletic contest, not to mention the profound infrastructural requirements for broadcasting, audience seating, and media coverage. Therefore, the idea is best understood not as a viable plan, but as a sophisticated piece of political and personal branding. It serves to reinforce McGregor's alliance with Trump, appeal to a specific segment of the fan base, and, most importantly, position his own athletic return as an event of such monumental importance that it warrants a venue normally reserved for diplomatic ceremonies and affairs of state. The feasibility of this highly speculative dream is entirely contingent upon the alignment of several significant and unpredictable factors, each presenting its own substantial hurdles. The primary and most fundamental contingency is the outcome of the November 2024 United States presidential election. The entire premise of the event is predicated on Donald Trump returning to the White House as its occupant. Without his personal advocacy and the unprecedented permission that would presumably be required from the Commander-in-Chief, the concept is devoid of its essential political catalyst and loses its only conceivable path to reality. Trump is not merely a supportive figure in this scenario. He is the proposed host and the indispensable gatekeeper for the event. The second major variable is the athletic readiness of Conor McGregor himself. The challenge of returning to elite-level mixed martial arts competition after a catastrophic injury, like a broken leg, cannot be overstated. The physical rehabilitation is only one component. Regaining the timing, reflexes, and mental fortitude required to compete against athletes who have been actively fighting at the peak of the sport is a monumental task. Compounding this challenge is his age and extended layoff. At 37 years old, McGregor is navigating a sport where athletic prime is often measured in a fighter's late 20s and early 30s. Furthermore, his last victory inside the octagon occurred in January 2020, a TKO against Donald "Cowboy" Cerrone. The landscape of both the lightweight and welterweight divisions has evolved dramatically since then, with a new generation of formidable contenders. His ability to compete effectively against the current top tier, such as Islam Makhachev, Leon Edwards, or even rising stars, remains a profound and open question that only actual competition can answer. Finally, and perhaps most critically from an execution standpoint, the Ultimate Fighting Championship as a global business entity would need to formally agree to and orchestrate such an event. The UFC, under the stewardship of Dana White, is a highly sophisticated media and entertainment company known for its meticulous logistical planning. The proposition of hosting an event on the White House grounds presents a set of complexities far beyond any previous undertaking. The organization would be forced to conduct a rigorous cost-benefit analysis, weighing the undeniable global publicity and historic nature of the event against the monumental logistical, security, and financial costs. Issues such as limited seating capacity impacting live gate revenue, the immense challenges of installing a regulated octagon and broadcast infrastructure on federal property, and navigating the labyrinth of security protocols with the U.S. Secret Service would make it an operational nightmare. While the promotional value would be incalculable, the practical impediments are so vast that the UFC may deem the venture commercially unviable or logistically impossible. In essence, the White House UFC plan is foremost a narrative carefully crafted and disseminated by Conor McGregor. It functions as a multifaceted tool in his arsenal of self-promotion. Primarily, it serves as a highly effective mechanism to keep his name in the forefront of the sports and entertainment media during an extended and involuntary absence from competition. By associating his comeback with the ultimate symbol of American power, he elevates his personal narrative to a mythic level, building anticipation by framing his return not just as a fight, but as a historic occasion that transcends sport. Simultaneously, it strengthens his political branding, firmly aligning him with Donald Trump and, by extension, a substantial segment of Trump's support base, who are also fight fans. While the foundational statement is factually accurate, McGregor did indeed publicly propose the idea on his social media channels. The event itself remains a hypothetical dream. It stands as a testament to McGregor's enduring, almost preternatural understanding of spectacle, media manipulation, and self-promotion. It is a headline-generating concept, not a scheduled item on the UFC's internal fight calendar. His eventual comeback, whenever and against whomever it materializes, will undoubtedly be a major moment in sports due to his enduring star power. However, the specific notion of it occurring at the White House, while a brilliant piece of promotional fiction, is almost certainly detached from the realities of athletic competition, political protocol, and business logistics.